We continue our knowledge sharing mission through a series of interviews with marketing leaders from all over the world. And today we are thrilled to have Lili with us today. Please, can you just give a short introduction to yourself, your job title and your company?
Thank you, Neil. I'm privileged to be in this session. I bring with me about over 20 years of marketing experience. But I did not start as a marketer, actually. I was a computer graduate, and I pivoted from being a systems engineer to a product manager in my earlier years. And throughout the years, I was privileged, right, to be given the opportunity to dabble in the multiple facets of marketing. As I climbed the marketing ladder, I acquired actual real-life experiences, not just in marketing, but people management, leadership, shaping corporate cultures, values, and managing through all the technological changes, dealing with crises and change management. So now, as the Senior Director of Marketing in APAC at Workiva, I lead the team through various phases of growth, from building our digital ecosystem to creating demand generation strategies and delighting customers through engaging experiences and building a community of customer advocates. So this role covers like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. This is where I am now.
Fantastic. And for those that don't know Workiva, could you just give a quick snapshot into what they do?
Sure. Workiva is the cloud platform, right? So we actually have a cloud platform for reporting, and we cover reporting in all angles, from sustainability reporting to financial reporting and governance and risk. So all in one on a united platform.
Now, your role as the Senior Director of Marketing, could you give us an insight in what currently is your main focus?
I would say it's getting ahead of pipeline to create a very sustainable marketing growth engine. With the current geopolitical landscape, right, it brings about uncertainty to businesses. Hence, it is even more imperative for marketers to focus on driving measurable impact and positive business outcome, right? At the same time, sustaining this growth journey.
Okay. Now, maybe we can just dig a little bit deeper into some of your campaigns that you've been running. I'd love for you to share any particular campaigns that have been very successfully executed recently, and just share sort of some of the outlines on how that was achieved.
Well, there have been many successful events, right? Like, I think in my current capacity, I would consider our annual Accelerate event a success in this region. So Workiva Accelerate, right, is a roadshow, and we run in Sydney, Singapore, and Melbourne. And this is our opportunity to really bring together a mix of industry leaders, partners, and customer speakers from across like finance, sustainability, risk and compliance professionals all together to gain insights and learn from the best, right? And simply network amongst all of them. So it is successful because of the quality of the discussion that we see, the actions that the audience can take after the event, and of course the pipeline that it brings to our business.
Fantastic. And how many years have you been running that? Is that something you fine-tuned over the years?
Yes, it is, right? Globally, we have global conferences called Amplify, and in this region, right, we have been in APAC for the last 5 years, and over the last 3 years, right, we started with Accelerate, and this is going to scale, right? It's going to scale from a local roadshow, and it's going to amplify to a very, a much bigger scale, right? So this is how we tweak and change along the way to make it more impactful, more meaningful for our customers and our partners.
Fantastic. In terms of challenges, what are your challenges at the moment as a marketer?
In today's digital age, consumers have an accelerating appetite for innovative products. But on the contrary, right, their attention span to capture that understanding of the innovation is decelerating. So, the challenge for marketers today, I would say, is like being able to be a peacock for that moment, right? When a peacock spreads its feathers, people stop to look, right? So be that peacock in that short span of time to draw the consumer's attention and pick their interest so that they swipe you to the right, right, and not the left. So the life cycle of product, right, is also getting shorter today compared to before. So the speed to market is of essence. And as consumers, they tend to switch between business and social trend channels, LinkedIn and, Facebook, Meta, online and offline. So the need to really navigate the different messaging across these channels and keeping an almost on mode is a challenge.
I like that phrase of be that peacock. I think that is, very, very true. Very true. In terms of marketing at Workiva, sort of how do you stay ahead of your competitors in terms of your marketing strategy?
In terms of marketing strategy, I would say that it really depends on your objectives, right? It could be, acquiring market share, or it could be increasing your share of wallet in a particular segment. Is this a volume game or a value game? Or capturing mind share, right, from competitors. So you deploy different strategies, and it also largely depends on how much budget you have. So in general, I would say keeping an omni-channel approach works best for us. Through digital channel, it has the ability to reach far and wide, right, including capturing global audience. And if you can create that peacock type of content, right, you will get that high engagement and leads. And then nurturing the leads down the funnel, combining it with in-person engagement will bring your scores higher and ultimately helps promote conversion.
Fantastic. And obviously the budget comment is something that everyone has to deal with, and it's something that I think marketers have definitely felt over the last year or two. It seems like budgets are getting smaller, and the goals are staying the same for the business. So in terms of that peacock sort of moments as marketer, do you think that's harder to do, or do you think it's creating sort of opportunities to find sort of creative ways to sort of set yourself apart from competition?
Yes, I think everybody is going after that same pie, and budget is lean. So, you really need to be creative, about how you can maximize that given budget. So I would say, for marketing, right, performance to succeed, for marketing to gain success, right, it is not just about the conversion, the ROI piece, which is necessary and important, but what is needed, right, it's also to string together, all cross functions, right? I see the most effective campaign and the best performance, right? Not just, from marketing activities that are kicked off well with all the detailed planning and excellent execution, but it comes when you have all the teams, right, coming together and, from pre-sales to inside sales, between sales and marketing, and all across, right? So from the pre to actual and the post, at the end of it, right, seeing through the handover, making sure that the entire lead conversion to opportunity process and the win comes after. So a very tightly knitted collaborative team with that synergy, with that shared common goal, is something that is very critical for the success. And given the lean budget, this is even more important.
Yeah, definitely. I think marketing especially has a lot of different functions sort of filtering into it that is very crucial to the success of a lot of the campaigns. And I think you might have your vision, but it needs to be a group vision to really get the most out of these, especially with a leaner budget. So yeah, that's great. Now, as a marketing leader, what do you believe is the biggest opportunity today that might not have been available in the past?
I would say that data is the biggest opportunity for CMOs, but data, right, it can also pose as a threat, right? So in the past, I think there is a lack of data and the right systems to capture the data. That was an issue. But today it presents, huge opportunities for us so that we can gain that greater insight to that targeted segment, that targeted audience, and to enable us to be more targeted and personalized. However, right, it is also a threat as we now have abundance of data, a lot of digital and non-digital footprints, and traces. So how do we effectively capture that offline and online signals, leveraging technology and having the right ecosystem in place to capture, draw insights, and then in order to model that for further growth? So I would say that that's huge opportunity, but we have to manage that carefully.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. When we look into the future of marketing, obviously, you're speaking about data there. That's obviously a massive change that's come into play and will continue to shape. But other than that, what's the future of marketing look like?
Well, future of marketing, right? I think one can't run away from AI. I believe that's one that is infused with AI and personalization, one that is highly targeted, highly augmented, and experiential, right? Becomes a second nature. So, in every aspect of marketing with sustainability considerations, it'll be embedded, and innovation, right, will be crowdsourced. So, the fastest AI production of a crowdsourced innovation that is hyper-personalized wins the game.
Yeah, I agree. Hyper-personalization is going to be key. I think also, like there's so many facets of AI that are going to come into lives, and that speed of adoption is going to be important. What is the role of a senior director of marketing in one word, and why?
I would choose agility. Well, because in today's environment, as a CMO, you may not be able to work with past trends as it is highly unpredictable these days, right? So you need to be able to pivot and pivot quickly. You need to scale quickly. You need to double down, once the wind blows in your way, or you need to withdraw, right? And reinvent when, you're at its tail. So being agile is a trait that, you need to have, as a marketing community.
Definitely. And in terms of leadership advice, what's a piece of traditional leadership advice that you don't believe applies to modern marketing leaders?
We cannot take loyalty for granted in today's context, both with our customers and with our employees. The lifespan of everything, right, has shortened, and that's the same with loyalty. So whether is it customers' purchase decisions or in an employer-employee relationship, we can no longer assume that the stickiness is there. So with employees, modern CFOs cannot adopt a top-down approach like before, right? So there's a need to instill a very collaborative culture, an environment that is like highly conducive for radical candor, to inspire that continuous innovation and creativity. And this will help fuel the experience, right, to delight customers and continue to attract and retain them to follow the brand.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was speaking to, it was actually some HR leaders, and they were speaking about how important it is now to experience of offboarding someone, because, like you said, the relationship, be it an employee or a customer, is way shorter than it used to be. But actually that sort of offboarding of a customer or an employee is more important now, because there is a lot more opportunity to bring that person's background into being a customer. So actually their experience sort of on the exit is just as important as on the entry a lot of these times.
Totally true.
Now, in terms of career advice, what advice would you like to share with other marketing leaders on their way up?
Well, I think there's a lot of opportunities, right? And, I think the one advice is firstly for young marketers to be agile, to be constantly hungry for knowledge, to gain that experience, to be able to also adapt to situations very quickly. And of course, to equip yourself with a set of like both the soft skills and the AI-driven skill set, as there are many aspects of marketing work, right, that you can deploy AI to gain that efficiency. However, right, like the soft skill is also needed, right, because there are things that AI cannot replace. And that is that human-centric portion, the psychology aspects of it, the empathy, the reading of nonverbal cues, and, binding through that relationship building, which is highly key for a successful campaign, right? That's my advice for young marketers.
Fantastic. I think that's great advice. And with that, thank you very much for joining our series.
Thank you so much, Neil. I'm privileged to be in here, and thank you so much for the time.